We have one more question here, Jim, of Tony Khan, and that is on John Cena turning heel, and if he feels any creative pressure now that that's happened. Let's go to this.
Like the rest of us, when it comes down to it, you're a wrestling fan, so I'm sure you're aware that John Cena recently turned heel. Unlike the rest of us, you own your own wrestling company and you book your own shows. And it just so happens that AEW a week later has a huge pay-per-view in Los Angeles. I'm curious, in these moments, is there any sort of added pressure possibly to maybe take a big swing creatively that maybe you wouldn't normally do? I'm curious as to kind of your mindset and your thoughts and how you handle these types of moments.
And let me stop it for 1 second. Apparently that question was asked by Joey Hayden of the Dallas Morning News. But before we get to Tony's...
Wait a minute. That's a goddamn legitimate recognized newspaper. What?
That was, I guess, their wrestling reporter for the Dallas Morning News. My question was going to be, what do you do? If you had a national promotion and the other company did something that the entire world is talking about, do you have added pressure on you having a big pay-per-view the next week?
No. As a matter of fact, if he was to say, oh shit, I got to have some major happening that wasn't already planned, that he didn't have worked out in advance and was fitting his stories, then he's just being a mark trying to chase big news that he's not going to make in light of Cena turning took a lot of the oxygen out of anything else in the wrestling space, as they say. So if I were Tony, I'd just worry that hopefully Revolution will do about the same number of buys it always does and let me start thinking about something that when everybody stops ejaculating and wipes himself off over Cena, that maybe then I can come up with something. But to do something now would just be such an obvious plea for attention, and it would have to be last minute and unplanned because you're reacting to something that just happened last week.
Well, let's go to Tony Khan's answer. This will be our final question and answer.
That's a great question. I think we're really very happy with the shows right now. I think the quality of the show has been tremendous, and we helped build a lot of excitement around the original Revolution by just doing great shows week in, week, and that worked so well for us. And I think if we do that here, it will pay off for us, and to keep putting on the great shows. And we do take big swings and do exciting things on the shows, and we have big developments, big matches, big moments. And I want to keep doing that, but I don't want to change anything we're doing just because another wrestling promotion has changed what they're doing. And I think it's important to keep an eye on what's happening all around the world of wrestling. And there are exciting things happening all over the sport. And one of the most exciting things, and the thing I'm focused on, most excited for, is this Sunday AEW Revolution pay-per-view. It's been a great run of AEW shows going into Revolution, as I was saying, and I think that's going to serve us very well going into this pay-per-view, if that makes sense. Thanks for asking.
Well, there it is. If that makes sense. Tony Khan, any final thoughts on Tony Khan, his answer to the Cena question?
It's just, well, there's really he answers every question with the same thing, but Revolution is going to be great. At least he's smart enough to realize that no, he shouldn't try to top the Cena thing, or maybe he just realizes that he hasn't been able to think of anything he originally was going to try. But that was probably the best answer of the bunch of them. No, I'm going to go and do my own thing, and then later on I'll think of my thing. But there's a lot of words and a lot of circles, and there's no. Again, that's when I first talked to him. Yes, you should be confident, and you should, like a Vince McMahon type of leader, exuded confidence, and the aura that he had this handled, and he had his grip on everything. But still, he would admit when something is a task or something's a challenge, or we must work. With Tony, everything was a foregone conclusion. He was going to beat Vince. His show was going to be great. His wrestling was going to be great. This was going to have, there's no chance whatsoever of failure. And that's a stupid way to look at things. When you have just convinced yourself that everything's going to be great and there's no chance of failure or anything sucking. And it you know, for Tony, it might work when your father has $12 billion or whatever. But for anybody else in the legitimate real world, you have to go into anything with a realistic viewpoint of the challenges and the advantages that you might face and have. And Tony is grossing more money than any wrestling company ever except for the WWE, but he's also spent more money than any wrestling company ever except for the WWE. And he still has this little problem with his shows on TV are the shits. And people are not stopping watching them. And I still have to think, and then I'll make this my last statement. I still have to think that at some point, there's got to be a goddamn fucking trigger in that contract with WBD that says if your rating goes down to 72 people, we're not going to pay you these hundreds of millions of dollars. So where is that benchmark? That, you know, or at what point do people start going, oh, fuck? So, you know, we'll find out.
We will find out.
Back to you, Brian.
This is your show, and that was the end of the
What?
Tony Khan audio.
Then I can't go back to you? It's got to be back to me?
Back to you.